On this week of Films by Greg, I'm going to show you how to organize your comics. Hello, my name is Greg Miller, and I collect comic books. Over the years, I've enjoyed reading many different series and collecting a lot of books. As you can see, this is a big mess right now, and this kind of takes away from the fun of reading comics. So it's very important to keep your collection organized. In a short time, I'm going to demonstrate how to keep your collection from looking like this and turn it into looking like this, neat and organized. Alright, so first things first is you have to gather up all of your comic books. If you have not started collecting yet, but you are interested, I would advise only collecting 2 or 3 series to begin with. This will help cut down on costs and keep you from overspending. Some personal favorites of mine are Darth Vader Volume 2, All New Guardians of the Galaxy, and The Amazing Spider-Man Back in Black. This is really good. Now the reason why you should only start collecting 2 or 3 is, again, it will help you determine what you're interested in, and if you haven't started collecting yet, it'll help you get a feel for what you like. Now that we have a reference point as to where to start, we can get to the important part of it all, how to maintain your collection. When starting a collection, I would advise investing into boards and bags for your comics. You can get these at your local comic book shop for a fairly cheap price. They help protect your comics and keep the longevity of their value. Another thing you will need for this demonstration is some Scotch tape. It will help with the bagging and boarding process. The process I'm about to show you for protecting your comic books is all based on personal preference. Over the years, I've developed a system on my own as to how I store my comic books and maintain my collection. But again, it's personal preference, so feel free to alter some of these steps. When protecting my comic books, I always start with the board and the bag. These are essential items for keeping your comic books protected from day-to-day handling and use. It's important to note that there are 2 different sides to the bag and the board. The one side of the board has a glossy finish. This is the side that your comic book is going to be in contact with. It helps protect the finish of the comic. The other side is matte, and it's just a cardboard finish, so it's very easy to distinguish the 2 sides. There are also 2 sides to the bag. One side that is shorter and one that is longer. The longer side will be used as a flap to fold over the shorter side, but I will demonstrate that in just a minute. Now what I do whenever I board and bag is I make the glossy side face the same side as the longer flap. So you slide that into your bag, as so, push it all the way down, and then you will be able to see the flap much easier if you couldn't find it before. Now you take your book and you're going to put it in your bag and your board. Now it's important that you put your book on the same side as the glossy finish and the flap. It's also important to note that the front cover should be facing outwards so that you can see it. This will help with organizing and keeping your issue numbers in order. You are going to need your tape. This is very important for this part of the process, as you will be taping the flap to the back of the book, as mentioned. Once the tape is placed on the flap and closed, the flap will act as a seal, helping to further protect your comics. That's why we do this part of the step. I take about 1.5 inches of tape, and then I fold 1/2 inch back on itself, like so. Whenever you fold the tape over, there will be a smaller part that is smooth and a larger part that is still adhesive. Now you're going to take your piece of tape and apply half of the adhesive to the front of the flap, the same side of the cover. You're going to take this flap and fold it down so that the adhesive is now adhered to the back of the bag. Your comic book is now properly bagged and boarded. You're going to do this with the rest of your comic books, as shown. Okay, now that everything is all sealed up, it's time to put your comics into the comic box. Personally, I like to organize by overarching series. For example, the character Spider-Man has many different series. There is The Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man, and a few more. In my personal system, I like to organize the series alphabetically according to their character name, and then the subseries next. I do this because let's say I'm in the mood to read The Flash, or Darth Vader, or Spider-Man. I don't have to find their exact series name, I just have to look them up by character. This makes it more enjoyable and easier to find the books that you're looking to read. One of the last and most important aspects of organizing your comic book collection is to organize them sequentially according to their issue number. The issue number of your comic book can typically be found on the front cover in one of the corners, as seen here. The reason why it's important to keep your comics in sequential order is if you're trying to collect an entire series. This will help you keep track of what you already have and what you still need to collect. Again, this helps you keep from overspending, and the more money you save, the more comics you can buy. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now that your books are prepped, you can go ahead and put them away in your comic box. Typically, comic boxes are twice this size and can hold a lot more comics, but for demonstration purposes, I'm using the smaller one. So, for example, Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 2 is right here, and in my hand I have issue number 1. Let's put that right in front of there and put that away. I also have Darth Vader issue number 20, and issue number 21 is shown here. So let's put issue number 20 in front of 21 and slide them in. Now that your comics are all sorted and organized, it makes adding new comics to your collection much easier and much more enjoyable whenever it comes time to reading them. Remember, this is just one system. Use whatever works for you. I hope that this tutorial has helped. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip.